Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Yes, it was the end of the Japanesey squeezy Grand Prix. Yes, got a little bit tight into turn one, lots of crashes, but yes, a very enjoyable race. I did enjoy the Japanese Grand Prix. And I have to say congratulations, of course, to the McLaren duo. Yes, Oliver's pastry was perfectly cooked during that race. Perfectly cooked. It was not in the least bit chewy. I know there'll be probably a few complaints about the fact that Lando was given priority, but it was the right decision. The right decision, because Oliver is still very, very new to F1. And don't forget, of course, he will get his chance. He will get his chance in the future. He's only 22 years old and he's just champing at the bit. You just know he's champing at the bit. And the thing I'd like to know is, would Daniel Ricciardo have been there in the same situation if he was driving that car? I highly doubt it. I have to say, I think he'd probably be about 12th position during that race, you know, struggling to try and keep up with the Alfa Romeos and, you know, cars like the Aston Martins and stuff like that. So yeah, so I just don't see it myself. So congratulations to Oliver's pastry for getting onto the podium, but of course, as well as Lando. We love you, Lando Norris, as well. Fantastic result for everyone who's a McLaren fan. They must have been ecstatic with that. You can't really get any better than that, especially in a dominating era, to actually finish directly behind the dominating driver, of course, Maxi Boy, who once again won the race and completely obliterated all the conspiracy theorists, all the doubters from last week saying, oh my God, it's all over for Red Bull. It's all over for Red Bull. Just 7 days later, and it wasn't all over Red Bull. And once again, they absolutely dominated. So congratulations to Max Verstappen. I have to say that because what else can you say? What else can you say? You know, when he's doing so well, you can't knock a driver. You really can't. It's not his fault. He's just doing a bloody good job out there. So congratulations to Maxi Boy. But best of all, congratulations to Oliver's pastry. I have to say, he's definitely up there as my driver of the day. Driver of the day. Lando, of course, was there as well. It was just great to see. It really was. Of course, you had the Ferrari duo, who unfortunately didn't replicate what they did in last weekend's Singapore Grand Prix. No, I mean, they did okay, but they did pretty much about the same as their performance has been all through the year for Ferrari. So there was really no change there. And then, of course, just behind the Ferrari, we had Lulu. We had Lulu and George Russell. Don't cry, George. Don't cry. That's my new catchphrase now, yes. And so, yes, we had those two, and some strange decisions were made, I have to agree. Some strange decisions. I didn't sort of get the hang back Lewis to let Russell get the DRS, because it didn't work, because Sainz still got past. So, yeah, that's a bit questionable. And, of course, George Russell was on a 1 stop, which was a little bit meh for that circuit. Really should have been on 2, to be honest. So, yeah. Of course, don't forget, of course, George Russell in his previous seasons has been a real master of the strategy, and he's actually overridden some of the strategy calls and sort of said, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do this. And so a little bit surprised to see that he just went with a standard sort of one-stop strategy, thinking that was going to work, and it clearly didn't. It clearly didn't. But anyway, there you go. Mercedes, unfortunately, just haven't got the pace right now. They just have not got the pace. They really haven't. So it's the best that they can do. And of course, Aston Martin as well. Once again, Fernando Alonso did okay. Not brilliant, but okay. Yes. And of course, Lance Stroll was, as usual, being Lance Stroll. Yes. Absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. And then, of course, we've got to move on to Logan Sargeant. And that's basically the title of this video. I just feel Logan Sargeant should go. I know there's a few fans of Logan Sargeant. I think one in my comments as well, but I'm sorry, I've just got to say it. I think Logan Sargeant needs to go. I did ask him my stream last week. I asked everyone, why is Logan Sargeant in Formula One? And someone came back and said it's because, well, his family is basically the 5th richest in the USA. 5th richest in the USA. And it just makes me so sad. It really does, considering a team like Williams. I mean, I've followed Williams since 1988, and I've been through all the glory years with them. The Nigel Mansell winning the championship in 1992, it was just a very special moment indeed. And all the other successes that Williams have had as well. But don't forget, of course, Williams, they were the they were the class of the field. They had the best drivers. They had the best car. They had the best engineers. They had Patrick Head, for God's sake, you know, an absolute bulldog in the business of Formula One, an absolute bulldog. Patrick was just unbelievable, and he didn't take any. He didn't care if your name was Ayrton Senna either. He did not take any shit off of anybody, and it was just great to see. They also had the best sponsors. Unfortunately, they were tobacco sponsors, but they were still the best sponsors. I mean, the iconic livery of the Williams, we all know it was a tobacco sponsor, which I can't actually mention, but yeah, but it was still, you know, the best sponsors out there, and they just had all the resources. But I just feel that the downfall of Williams came after Ayrton Senna's death. I just really feel that they never really recovered from that. They just, yeah, it was just really, and of course, losing Adrian Newey as well was a serious blow, I have to say. I mean, everyone knows the Winfield 98 Williams, which was just an absolute disaster of a car, really. I mean, when I'd say disaster, it wasn't that bad, but compared to like the 97 car, it was just absolutely, it was horseshit. It was a horseshit of a car, and ever since then, they just don't ever seem to have recovered. They have had some really good years. I mean, let's not forget the BMW years. Okay, they were really great years for Williams, and they really did start to come out back on top again, like they were before. But apart from that, Williams just seems to, for such a long time, and they just kind of remind me of Tyrrell now. They just seem to be drifting along. I just can't get this image out of my head that from what they were and what they are now, they just seem to be like begging on the street now for like drivers and sponsors. You know, that's you know, please sir, please give me some money. That's just how I feel about Williams now. I mean, you know, some of the great sponsors of Williams, and now what have we got? Duracell batteries. I mean, all right, it's a big name, but you know, it's nothing special, is it? Let's face it, it's Duracell batteries. Nobody really cares about Duracell batteries, do we? No, only when our remote control goes on the telly and then we need batteries. But apart from that, we never even think about Duracell batteries, to be honest, do we? So yeah, it's just a very sad situation, really. But Logan Sargent, I mean, he crashed in practice and then he hit Valtteri Bottas in this kind of, I don't know, hookster suicidal move. It was just ridiculous. He was so far back. I don't get it. And Valtteri Bottas was clearly stunned by this, because he went like, what the fuck? You know, what the fuck was going on there? Because what was going on there? What was going through Logan Sargent's mind? I'm not so sure. Did he sort of think, oh, we've got an Alfa Romeo there, that they're a little bit faster than me. I'm going to see if I can do a little sort of glory dive for the cameras. Was that his thinking? Because that's what it looked like. It just looked like he was just playing for the cameras, to be honest. And I just don't get it. I seriously doubt, or I hope that Logan Sargent won't still be there next year. It's just a shame that Williams can't get, you know, they need decent drivers. They're never going to get great drivers, but they need decent drivers that can pull that car up to a midfield level, which is entirely possible, even though if the car isn't that good. If you're a great driver, you can pull more out of that car and bring it up to a midfield. That surely that's got to be better than just kowtowing to all these big daddies with all their big money, just throwing money at it. I mean, yeah, okay, fair enough. They're throwing money at the car, and there'll probably be a good car next year because they'll have development money in it. But the drivers are still going to be shit. Apart from Albon. Albon's okay. But I'm going to say that if Logan's in it next year, he's still going to be shit. So it doesn't matter how good the car is at the end of the day if the driver is still shit. It's the driver who is the number one thing about the car. If the driver's no good, then the car is no good. It doesn't matter if you're driving a Red Bull, okay? If you put, I'm just trying to think of someone really shit. Put Yuki Ide, yeah? Put him in a Red Bull and see how well he does, okay? He'll be at the back of the field, even though it's the best car out there, because he's a shit driver. That's exactly what's happening at Williams. If you employ shit, you won't get any performance out of your car. Yeah, it's great to have more development money for next year, and the car will probably be a bit faster. Yes, that's great. But when we say faster, we mean it's going to be finishing 12th in position next year instead of 14th. That's not really the kind of gains that Williams should be looking for. Williams should be looking for points. Bottom end points. That's what they need. 10th position, 9th, 8th place. That's what they should be looking for. But they're just not going to get it. They're just not going to get it if they keep employing shit drivers. And I'm sorry, Logan Sargent is just get rid of him now. Just get. I don't know. I don't know whether he was some. I didn't follow his career, so I don't know whether he was some big shot in F2 or whatever. But clearly, he hasn't acclimatised at all to Formula One. And yeah, I'm sorry, Logan Sargent. He just needs to get rid of. Anyway, so that was a pretty exciting Grand Prix. I think this is the third exciting Grand Prix in a row. Yes, it's unbelievable. What is happening in Formula One? What is happening? But yeah, the third exciting Formula One race in a row. Of course, Maxi Boy has won it again. I do believe in the next round of the championship, if Maxi Boy wins it again, he will be world champion. Yes, they already clinched the Constructors' Championship yesterday in Japan, so that is now Red Bull's, but you know, that was a pretty foregone conclusion anyway, to be honest. So the constructors, you know, the constructor is for the team. That's their little trophy, that's their little, you know, congratulations to the team. But for us watching at home, we really don't sort of worry about the Constructors' Championship. It's the Drivers' Championship that is our only sort of reference that we look at. And next week, or I think it's a fortnight actually, the next race, we should have another world champion in Max Verstappen if nothing goes wrong and, you know, he ends up winning the race, which it looks pretty likely that's going to happen now because Max is back on top again. It was just one race. It was just clearly in Singapore they got the setup completely wrong, but he still finished fifth. So, you know, it wasn't like he was at the back of the field and with no points. He still finished in the points. So, you know, it was just a bad race all round. Max was frustrated, and when you get frustration like that, you just can't try and get any performance out of the car. So that was the problem. But now, of course, back on form, and I'm pretty sure at the next race, Max will be crowned world champion of 2023 with, I think, still 8 races to go or 7 races to go, something like that anyway. So yeah, very close to my prediction where I said he would win the championship with still 9 rounds to go, so I wasn't too far out if he wins it in the next race. So yeah, all you doubters of me out there, yes, I wasn't too far away from that. But anyway, yeah, it was a pretty decent Grand Prix, so congratulations to everyone all round, and I'm looking quite excited now for the next one, mainly because I want to see Max get crowned now, so that's basically the end of the championship for me, because, you know, and I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen in the next round. So anyway, there you go. That was the Grand Prix. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you came here just for the Formula One, that is it for the Formula One, and thanks very much, and I'll catch you in the next video. Okay, so now I want to talk about Russell Brand, and I'm not making this video for views because I know 100% that YouTube will demonetize this video. So if you see adverts on this video, they are coming from YouTube themselves, not from me. Okay, but yes. So Russell Brand, he's been in the news a lot this week, and I'd just like to do my take on it because basically it goes back to what I've been saying. I think I've said it at least 3 times now in some of my previous live streams about making sure that you don't idolize these personalities, and especially these personalities on YouTube, because as I said in the live streams, you never know what this person is actually like. Now, I'd like to say before I get done by the lawyers, that everything I'm going to say here is allegedly, and anything to do with Russell Brand is all alleged. So yeah, before the lawyers come back at me, I just like to make that point. So here's the thing about Russell Brand. I've been following Russell Brand since his early days when he was on Big Brother, because Big Brother was one of my favourite shows back in the day. So yeah, I always thought he was basically an idiot, as a lot of people do. But I also thought that he was very, very over-friendly. And unfortunately, this can be, in some situations, a trait of predatory or paedophile behaviour. It can be in some situations, and he always come across very over friendly. Now, just to give you an example of this, I actually unfortunately met a genuine paedophile predator about 15 years ago now. Yes, unfortunately, he moved into my road, and he was only 4 doors up from where I'm living right now. And yes, so he moved in. There wasn't any sort of, nothing was sort of said around the road about what was happening for quite a long time. So it was quite peaceful. But anyway, one day, unfortunately, he had this massive dog. It was a husky dog, and it was a massive thing. And it eventually ended up in my garden. And I knew that it belonged to him. So I come and knocked on the door and said, I've got your dog. He's strayed into my garden because my back fence was falling over. So he just wandered in. And, you want to come and get him back. So, yeah, he said, okay, I'll come. So he came in into my house. The dog was out the garden. And he went out the back door, and the first thing he did was smash this dog with his fist onto his back leg. And straight away I was like, whoa, that's way too much. Because it was violence. It was pure violence towards an animal. And I was just like, whoa, and from that moment I just got this very, very creepy vibe from him. Very, very creepy vibe indeed. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I thought there's something not quite right about this guy. Anyway, he picked his dog up and he left. So he was in my presence for about 2 minutes maximum, which basically was 2 minutes too much for me, because I just had this niggling feeling that something wasn't quite right with him. Anyway, it transpired later on that he was gaining influence of the young people in my road using the old trick of animals. So he started breeding kittens. Yes, and of course, kittens being kittens, they're, lovely and fluffy and adorable. And of course, lots of young girls who were living in my road at the time would go and see his kittens. Anyway, long story short, it ended up with a 15-year-old girl who lived in my road. He actually got pregnant. There was a big fuss about it. It was in all the papers, and eventually he was put in jail. And I understand that the courts have said several years ago now that he is never ever to be released from jail because he is a danger to the public. So that still sends a shiver down my spine. I have to admit that I had a predatory paedophile in my presence for about 2 minutes, but of course I didn't know that's what he was. And this is how they are that clever, because I had no idea. I just thought after he'd hit the dog, I thought that that's totally not on, but that's a different issue. But this man, as I say, was arrested and he's in jail now for the rest of his life. And the 15-year-old was obviously emotionally and physically scarred for the rest of her life. And this is my one problem I have with Russell, and that is with the 16-year-old, which, don't forget, of course, is only legal in the UK and possibly another couple of other countries, but definitely not anywhere else is this legal. Now, of course, if you look at the 16-year-old girl and just sort of go back a bit, I mean, 4 years ago, she probably would have been playing with Barbie girls. And then fast forward to 16 years old and, well, the rest is history with Russell Brand. But, I mean, Russell Brand didn't think of that. Russell Brand only thinks of himself. And all that was on Russell Brand's mind was getting his end away. That's it. I mean, we all know that Russell Brand was into drugs quite heavily, a drug addict, and he was a sex addict as well. And so, it doesn't surprise me that when people are talking about Russell, they're talking about 16-year-old girls and stuff like that. So I'd just like to reiterate again what I've said, and that is, if you like these people on YouTube, then go and follow them. That's fine. I haven't got a problem with that. But please don't idolize them. There's been a lot of controversy about why YouTube demonetized Russell Brand, and there's been a lot of sort of talk about conspiracy theories and it was all down to the government. personally, I think that's a load of bollocks. The reason why YouTube demonetized Russell Brand is because most of the people on YouTube are aged in the 16 to 24-year-old bracket. It's the most common bracket of people that use YouTube. Even my own channel, the people that watch my videos fall into the 16 to 24-year-old bracket. So that's why YouTube demonetized Russell Brand, because they didn't want that kind of behaviour being something that people of that age could possibly, see and think, that's okay to do then I can go out and do that. It's not a problem. So that's why YouTube demonetized Russell Brand. Now, he's gone to Rumble and he's released a video today which basically is just a load of delusional conspiracy crap. He thinks the government's out. He thinks everyone's out to get him. He really does. The fundamental truth is, though, that there's allegations against him. There's going to be more allegations against him. And so in any sort of conspiracy that he wants to invent, there's always an element of truth. And somewhere along the line, there is some truth about what Russell did in his past. Now, of course, being a drug and a sex addict, he probably wouldn't have even known half the time what he was doing, because he was probably off his head. And once you're off on drugs and stuff like that, you have no idea. Days just blend into each other. You have no concept of reality, to be honest. No concept at all. Like I say, the days and the nights just blur into one. And so there's probably a lot of sordidness, a lot of nastiness that went on with Russell Brand that he probably can't even remember. That's probably why he vehemently denies all the allegations, because he probably can't even remember half of the stuff that went on. So that's just my little take on Russell Brand. As I say, he was someone that I've followed for years and years and years. I didn't think he was really that funny as a comedian, but he had his moments. He had his moments indeed, but I've always thought that there wasn't something quite right about it. Now, of course, I'd like to put a little disclaimer in, because he is a married man now, and he's got a wife, and he has got young children as well. So I don't want to lay too much into him, but unfortunately, at some point in your life, you've got to own up for and take responsibility for the things that you've done in your past. You really have. And I just think that Russell going full on the conspiracy theories, that it's just not the right approach to do it. I mean, basically, he should just leave the platform. He should just leave the platform and go and do something else. I mean, he was earning allegedly on YouTube £1 million a year, and allegedly, so someone's worked out, he's earned £67 million so far on YouTube. And as someone said in the comments, what on earth does one person need 67 or 167 million pounds? What? Yeah, and exactly, what does one person need that amount of money for? And now, of course, he's moved to Rumble, which has got a $60 subscription, and I don't know. I just get vibes of the Pied Piper of Hamelin, to be honest. And there's so much support for Russell; it's just unreal. It really is, the support for Russell Brand, and I just don't think that support is coming from a good place. To be honest, I really don't think it's coming from a good place. I think those people should. I mean, I've seen people today in the comments on his Rumble video saying about, I'm gonna donate part of my paycheck when it comes in this week to Russell's channel. Why on earth would you do that? Especially the times we're living in now with a cost of living crisis. Why would you even imagine that was a good idea? I just don't get it. I really don't. If you want to give away $60, then I don't know, give it to a charity, give it to an animal shelter. Do anything you like with it, but you're just wasting the money. Basically, you're wasting the money, because Russell doesn't care. He may come onto his videos and say he cares, but he really doesn't care. He doesn't care all he wants, obviously, is the money. Otherwise, he wouldn't charge subscriptions just to watch him. Yeah, or to become a awakened member or whatever it is he calls. I don't know, because his narrative bullshit at times really sort of gets. Now, I love a good conspiracy theory. I always have done. But the kind of sort of conspiracy theories that Russell is projecting is just. It's laughable, to be honest. It really is laughable. I'm surprised he doesn't come on now with a tinfoil hat on, to be honest, because, you know, I mean, as I say, I believe in aliens. I believed in them since I was 7 years old, and I believe they exist. So yeah, in that respect, I love it. But some of the things that Russell comes out with, you're just looking at it and you're what? Are you serious, dude? Are you really serious that you think that? You know, it's just been, it's just, you know, the governments, the whole world, the whole planet is out to get him. It really is. But it's further from the truth. The only person out to get Russell Brand is Russell Brand himself. So, yeah. So, anyway, that's just my little take on the Russell Brand situation. Yeah, I just linked that because, as I say, I said it in my live streams about not idolising these big YouTubers. You should never do that. You should never idolize. If you like them and you like their content, then follow them. But just always think in the back of your mind that, you know, there could be something else going on that's not quite right. Anyway, that's me. End of me waffling on. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. You have been awesome as always, and I'll catch you in the next video.